is the Bitcoin top in. All right. So this is the complete bearish breakdown of Bitcoin, of crypto, and my complete thoughts on it. Okay. So this is pretty simple. It's not going to be saying that this is going to happen, but this is definitely where I'm leaning to what is going to happen. I think this is what could happen. I think this is where the odds are saying us in this favor. Okay, but the bull case is still on the table. It's not gone yet, and we'll get into that near the end also. So this right here is the complete breakdown over Bitcoin. Okay, so this is my chart as of right now. I think wave 5 has ended, and that was it. Correction is imminent. Okay, now we'll get a little bit deeper in this. Okay, so let's compare this to the last correction that Bitcoin had. Okay, so first off, RSI. So if you look at the RSI, last correction, we got massive long-term bearish RSI divergence that was diverging from Bitcoin's price. You can see Bitcoin kept making new all-time highs while RSI just kept being bearish. All right, and this is what we have right now. Okay, we have not only a longer bearish RSI divergence, super bearish one, and it's also at the same level as it was back at the last correction right now from this wedge, right, which we'll get into in a second. But as you can tell, long-term bearish RSI divergence, and you can see Bitcoin has been making new all-time highs while RSI has not. And technically RSI, you're supposed to get really 3 touches from it. It's called like the 3-touch bearish RSI divergence, whatever it's called, but that's what I call it. And so you can see we have 1, 2, 3 touches, right? Same thing with Bitcoin, 1, 2, 3. So this is very bearish, and that's why we just bled like an absolute ton since I called the top a few months ago. Okay, so that is RSI. Now, we also had the very simple trend line top. You know, every time Bitcoin touched this trend line, it caused a correction, and we just rejected it just a few months ago, and we have been absolutely dumping since. Okay, so now, so now we're going over to the triangle wave B corrective wave. Okay, so usually for Bitcoin, actually not usually, every single time, I think 100% of the time. I mean, I didn't go to IPO, but I went back for like the last 2 or 3 corrections, and every single wave B was a triangle wave B corrective wave, or a short-term wedge, is what you can call it. But so as you see, last correction we had this wedge, and here we also have the exact same wedge. We just now broke below, and we also have no wick to the downside. Okay, well, we look back at last week, again, we broke below like we did last week, and we absolutely ripped, and then some type of news came out, and we just absolutely dumped from that retest level. So I wonder what news we have that could do that. I'm not quite sure, but I wonder. And there's one thing to keep in note. Price does not consolidate upwards if bullish. Bullish price consolidates downwards, okay? And let me show you what I mean by this, okay? So you see this wedge of how that was like the wave B of this massive correction? We consolidated for a while, right? For a few months, okay? Well, we actually consolidated upwards, okay? We even took out this high, right? So we have this high right here. We took it out, okay? Same thing right here, we're consolidating. We took out this high, consolidate. It's called a liquidity sweep is what it's really called, but consolidating, you know, and also a kind of a wedge, okay? Now let's look at this bottom. We're consolidating, but guess what's happening? We're taking out lows, but we're not taking out highs, right? We're kind of going down, right? While this is also going down, taking out new lows, okay? Versus this is just not taking out lows and only taking out highs, right? Same thing with this, okay? We're cutting out the lows, but we're not cutting out the highs, right? And we can keep going on and on about this, you know. Same thing right here. Taking out lows, not taking out highs until we just ripped up. Now, let's go back over here. We can show you the same exact thing. Top right now, we took out highs, not taking out lows. We just kept on taking out highs. Same thing right here. Taking out lows, not taking out highs. That's consolidating downwards, consolidating upwards, and then now also consolidating upwards. So when you look at it like this, right? And for Elliott wave, we are in the downtrend. Okay, if we're in a downtrend, a corrective move will be a small move up, kind of like consolidation, kind of like we're at right now. Same thing Nimbus is at right now too. But for Bitcoin, we're consolidating upwards. If this was bullish, like we were back in April, we would be consolidating downwards and taking out lows, not consolidating upwards, taking out highs. Okay, so this gives me a very, this is probably the strongest confidence, the strongest feeling conviction I've had in a very long time. I'm very, very confident in this, right? So I think that wedge is really what kind of gave it out. And on top of that, rejecting my key level. We rejected the key level very well. Broke below the wedge, retesting it now, waiting for a major catalyst to come out tomorrow. Okay, so that is basically the chart. Now, this is what our target is for the bottom range. We're looking at around 45 to 65,000 for the full correction move. We are watching the same $5,000 level just for some support, but we're not completely convinced yet that it's going to be the bottom. I think we do go much deeper. It's going to be a short pullback if so, but I think we do go deeper because we have not had a long-term retest to this bull flag that we have back here that we made in 2024, okay? We don't. So we need to go back and retest that breakout at least, which would be around 65,000. But I think we'd probably go a little bit lower than that, possibly around 50,000, maybe 45,000 is kind of where I'm really wanting to go for this correction. And again, this could take a very long time. This is going to take a very long time. I mean, we saw with this last correction, right? You see how much it chopped, and we formed a bullish R-side divergence too with it, right here. So you can see how we kept making new lows, so our size kept showing bullish sides. That was your sign to accumulate. So we're almost to the accumulation zone, okay? This is where you should be stacking cash. And this is also where a lot of traders say that you need to survive. You need to be in the game long enough. So you need to survive in the game long enough to be able to put your money onto opportunities like this for Bitcoin, like accumulating in the 40s and 50s and 60s, right? This is where that you need that capital, okay? So not chasing these moves that everyone's been on for months, like chasing Iran, chasing Nimbus, chasing Wolf, chasing all this crap. We're just wasting all your money, right? They're like, oh, well, I'm wasting money. I'm just going to throw it out. No, you need to save it for good moves like what's about to happen for Bitcoin. If we do see 40, 50, 60,000, you need to stay in the game long enough to be able to deploy that cash into Bitcoin, okay? So that's basically the chart view. This is the bearish case. I still think it's lower. We need to go lower. And this is almost the exact copy from the 2022 correction for Bitcoin, and it's actually what could play out for SPY too. And it's very similar. It's very, very similar time. So we'll see. A lot of people are saying we're going to enter a correction this year, which I think they're right. And a lot of people are saying it might be the 2008 correction style, or it could be a very slow move down like 2022, how much it chopped and just chopped for a long time, right? So many people have different views on it. I can see both, to be honest. I can see both. So now let's look at the macro breakdown, okay? So the Fed is holding rates, is priced in. It's priced in. I think this is Robinhood. This is a photo from Jake from the chart program, okay? So Fed is maintaining rate. That's what everyone's already saying. That's what's expected to happen, okay? But now, let me ask you this. If the Fed speaks bullish, is this even bullish for crypto, right? Maybe he does say some bullish crap. He doesn't even have to be hawkish, but is that even bullish for crypto? Someone very smart said this. When rates get cut and QE starts, then that's bullish for stocks, not crypto. And QE has not started yet, but that's what he said. And he didn't go much into detail, but this is kind of what I assumed that he was talking about. And I think this makes sense, is that people like putting risk into real physical assets like stocks. People compare this to the 2020, but that was a different time than we have right now. We are not pumping stimulus checks to everyone, and only rates, which only rates that we did back in 2020, which is happening right now. We're cutting it, right? But that only affects real companies with zero effects on crypto itself, right? So real physical companies, we are cutting rates right now, right? We cut rates. Borrowing is cheaper. People can get loans out a lot cheaper. Big companies make a lot more money because now they can borrow, pay less, get more money, and stuff like that. So they see a actual significant increase onto their financial sheet, right? So their earnings can be better. Their, growth can be better for their business. But what the fuck does that have to do with anything with crypto? Crypto itself, you cut rates. What, does crypto magically print money now? It doesn't really work like that, right? So crypto does not really benefit from that, right? Because the people, it might be like, oh yeah, well, people make more money, and then they put all that money into crypto, and then pumps crypto. It's like, okay, well, let's break this down. If rates get cut, let's say they cut it straight to 0% interest rates. It's basically free to borrow money. How is that money hitting my bank account? Like, I'm not going to see a single dime from that unless I go and get a loan, in which people don't go and get loans and just put it onto stocks, right? They don't do that. It's too risky, right? And so now knowing that, the most crypto pumps from a lot of buying orders, a lot of liquidity, which usually comes from hedge funds and its institutionals, okay? They don't take loans out for that crap. They get it from clients, okay? Now, maybe their client might run a business. Their business makes more money, and then the client makes more money, then they want to invest in that hedge fund to buy more crypto. That could be it, sure, maybe some, but that's not enough to actually pump crypto at all. That's like very, very small. So crypto itself sees zero benefit from this, okay? When people compare this to 2020, they're comparing it to the stimulus checks when they're just giving out thousands of dollars to everyone, okay? That's bullish for crypto, because now they just want to dump it anywhere they want, right? Because what is retail's favorite stock, or asset? It is Bitcoin. It's meme stocks. They want to put their money into Bitcoin. So they don't want to put it into stocks, right? That's too slow for them. They want to put it into crypto. So that is why crypto kind of really ran like crazy in 2020, or started its trend from 2020 to 2024, 2025, not 2025. I had it right. 2020 to 2021 and 2022, and then correction. So this has no benefit at all to crypto, really. The Fed could come out tomorrow and say, we're actually going to cut, bullish, and crypto may still dump 5% tomorrow. I wouldn't think so. I would still think if the Fed comes out bullish tomorrow, crypto might be up or maybe flat. I don't think it's going to dump like crazy. It very well could, but I don't think it's going to be that bad, because it's not necessarily bearish. I guess it is bearish for crypto in a way, because then people are rotating out of crypto back into stocks, like big institutionals, because they're trying to bet on real world assets, real businesses, okay? So that's my macro view on it, my thesis on it, really. And if you disagree and you have a different opinion, please let me know. Really, please let me know. I want to see, because that's just my view on it. I could be very wrong. This could be all terrible macro view, but that's just the way I look at it. Crypto's not going to see any benefit from this, really. I think stocks are, but even then, I still think stocks will enter a correction. And I think I am kind of leaning more towards the 2022 correction, but if I listen more to Elliot's wave, then it's going to be more of the 2008. But I'm very interested to see this year. This year is going to be good. But I can guarantee you right now, if you're holding crypto-related stocks, Nimbus, Wolf, you are going to have a very, very hard time in 2026 this year. You're going to have a very hard time. I'll just say that. It ain't going to be good. Now, let's go over and look at crypto stocks, okay? So we have Coinbase, MSTR, MARA, and HOOD. And there's a few others, of course, but they didn't really tell me much, so I didn't add them on here. So this is no bias, right? I'm just telling you what I see with this, because usually they correlate. So we're going to look at this. Coinbase, okay? We already completed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycle, and now we're dumping. We are down a lot. Don't get me wrong. We were down a lot. Coinbase was not really pumping when Bitcoin was pumping. At least we failed to make that new all-time high like Bitcoin did. So, this is definitely not a place to short. Where I'm not shorting Coinbase because Bitcoin is bearish. If it gave me an opportunity, I would absolutely love that. But it's not, right? We're in the buy zone. I personally do think we go lower. I think if Bitcoin does go down to my lower targets, like I'm talking about, into that full-on correction, Coinbase will see $80 to $120. Absolutely. So, but it's not really a sub-out short going into there, because we don't necessarily have to. It's not a very clear short. If on wave B, entering shorts, absolutely. But not now. It's too late. So Coinbase right now is more looking bullish for longs than anything. Not longing, but I'm just saying, if I had to choose a side, I guess I would have to choose longs and just sit there for a long time sitting in it, right? But I'm not shorting that. Same thing goes to MSTR. We already completed our full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycle. We're into a correction, but we're not shorting at the bottom, near the bottom of wave C. And we're also not going to be really longing here, but it's more of a long position than it is short. So again, MSTR doesn't really tell us much that maybe the bottom is near. So everybody could go with the bullish thesis. Coinbase and MSTR could go line up with the bullish case, but not necessarily, right? It's not like a wave 4 where we know where it's going to end. I mean, an ABC correction like that way C could go much lower, much lower. There's not an exact level it cannot go below, right? So again, it's leading slightly more bullish, but it's not super bullish at all, not at all. But it's leaning more bullish. It's not bearish, so there's no bearishness here really. Now MARA does look pretty bullish here. I mean, we have inverse head and shoulders sitting at a buy zone, wave 2, bullish trend line. We need a break. So MRA does line up with the bullish case, not the bearish. And then Hood, I can see go both ways. I mean, we have a kind of like I said before, price consolidates downwards. It was bullish, and this is consolidating downwards. You know, we are taking out lows. So kind of like how we saw back at the start of 2025, how we're taking out these lows, consolidating downwards before this massive rip higher. You know, we're kind of watching that same thing. We need to break this trend line to the upside, and then we're going to see that new all-time high. I don't think we're going to go much higher than that all-time high. I think we're going to barely go higher, and that's going to be the top. But that is what we're watching right now. Now, we also could flush down to $85 before it's seeing higher, right? Hood is crypto-related, but it's not massive. I don't think it's massively crypto-related. I think it still does move independently a little bit for stocks. So, you know, just because Hood's bullish doesn't necessarily mean that's bad for crypto. Doesn't really necessarily... You could take it both ways, I guess. I guess it could line up for be bullish for crypto, or it could be bearish for crypto. I mean, you know, it could go down to $85, right? So that's basically what I'm watching for Hood. It's definitely not a bad setup. I mean, yes, if crypto absolutely dumps, I think Hood's going to absolutely dump too, down to 85. But you know, it does line up for bullish case as well. So as of right now, looking to short crypto-related stocks to bet on this crypto crash. No, not at all. You had your opportunity, I think, a few months ago when Bitcoin rejected my target, and I think that was your only opportunity, like for Coinbase for Wave B, same for MSTR, and stuff like that. So I don't think there's any opportunity for any short positions at all. I did enter a short position on Bitcoin itself, on futures, because there is definitely a short position for Bitcoin here. So that's basically my view on crypto and why I think it's bearish. I mean, bearish R-side divergence, again, rejecting the top of the trend line. We got that wedge that we formed literally every single correction for Bitcoin. We are even more extended than the last cycle. I mean, this is a lot longer move than we had on this last cycle, okay? So, kind of aligns more with it. Now, I can also still see another leg up, but man, we're really, really pushing this cycle. We're really pushing it. So, I'm thinking this is the correction. And there's one thing that I've learned by reading this new book called Black Swan Events, is that if everyone is speaking about it, talking about it, if everyone thinks it ain't going to happen, right? We saw that with the UNH. I just gave you a prime example for those who actually watched the video and actually paid attention. But the same people who watched that UNH video are watching this video, right? Who's out to hope so. So when we're looking at the retail, what is the retail investor doing right now, okay? I have seen 0 people on X. 0. Not a single person saying, other than one, he's more on Instagram, but he's also on X in a way, but that's Luke Davis, really. But other than that, 0 people have called for this crypto top. You know, well, I mean, they might call for a pullback, but they're not calling for a permanent top for the cycle, and then we're into a correction. No one has. No one. Right, I did mention, I know for a fact I did mention it as we're hitting my target up there for wave 5, which I think at the time was wave 3. But that, I did mention that could very well be the top of the cycle. I think I mentioned it many times. So for those who remember that, please comment below, or if you can find the post, give it below, because I have no clue where I said that or what. But you know, so everyone right now is buying the dip. Everyone, they're all buying the dip, and they're all about to get burnt. Okay, and I don't know if I'm gonna post this on X. I don't think so. Actually, I'm not gonna post it on X. I'll probably post it on YouTube for free for the people who actually subscribe. Just, you know, just to reward those who actually subscribe to my YouTube channel, because no one really does. So I'm not really bothered of giving away too much free sauce. There's barely no one on there. Mainly the people earn that or subscribe to that YouTube channel are the ones y'all. So not too concerned about that. But yeah, the retail investor. Again, X has just been going crazy over the Fed cutting rates and all that other stuff, all this bullish macro, and it's just not going to happen. I mean, if it was that easy, they would all be rich, right? They would all be rich. So it ain't that easy. If everyone's thinking it ain't going to happen, right? And that's why most of the retail investors don't understand macro, right? If everyone understood macro like that, then there would be no point of having a macro investor. It's like, it'd be useless. It'll be a useless skill, but no one knows how to actually use macro, right? And so, I think we're going to do the opposite of what everyone's saying on X, which is usually how it happens. So, So yeah, we'll see how this plays out. But this is the bearish case. Again, there's still bullish case, but the bullish case would happen if we don't break to the downside of this. Well, we approach the downside, but we make a false breakout, break back above. We pump tomorrow like a ton. And just because we also pump tomorrow on the Fed cut rate, that doesn't necessarily mean it's still bullish, but that definitely is going to help out your bullish case and hurt this bearish case for sure. So, but we just have to see how price reacts to it tomorrow. And but yeah, so that is the bearish case. You already know my bullish case, I said. So I'll end this video here, but hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you understood my view. And I definitely want to see your thoughts on it, because you could disagree with me. I could very well be wrong, and you know, we're looking at probabilities here, so I could be very wrong. So tell me your thoughts on it, and I'll end this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.